Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have told you yesterday and the day before that I will be traveling, but I have to tell you something very interesting happened. I canceled my trip in the last moment. I had this very strong impulse not to go. My intuition told me not to go, and you know what? When I hear things like this, when I feel things like this, I listen. So here I am. I didn't go on the trip. Might be another trip coming this month. It will be much shorter, and I feel very good with it. So let's start with the video. Just heads up, as far as my videos go, I will continue this month without any issue. A lot is happening, a lot, and I have number of videos prepared for you, as you will probably see in the title of this video, because I think that's what I will put in the title, is why Macron was pissed off. We're gonna look into this a little bit with a humor and also not with a humor. Who is the biggest warmonger as far as the country goes? Looking at their body language, hearing their words from the meeting that was at the White House yesterday, and why Poland was not invited. I want to talk about those things. As far as Poland, this will be just my personal opinion. If you care to hear that, I think you do. I hope you do. But let's start with something that took place in February this year. It seems like ages ago, doesn't it? Let's go back to the Security Council in Munich in Germany, because we're going to talk about Germany today a little bit. Well, about Germany's Chancellor, Friedrich Merz. So let's go to this video, very short clip. I'm sure you remember those words from J.D. Vance.
I hope that's not the last bit of applause that I get, but we gather at this conference, of course, to discuss security. And normally we mean threats to our external security. I see many great military leaders gathered here today. But while the Trump administration is very concerned with European security and believes that we can come to a reasonable settlement between Russia and Ukraine, and we also believe that it's important in the coming years for Europe to step up in a big way to provide for its own defense, the threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within, the retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values, values shared with the United States of America. Now, I was struck that a former European commissioner went on television recently and sounded delighted that the Romanian government had just annulled an entire election.
So I'm sure you remember those words. What is the biggest threat? So since we started with Germany and Munich, let's go to that moment from that meeting yesterday, when you had the so-called leaders, the reptiles, majority of them. I don't think MELONI is, but pretty much everyone else, I'm almost certain, to some extent, different bloodline. Let's hear what the Chancellor of Germany, Friedrich Merz, has said. But before we do this, well, he was saying things that made Giorgia Meloni roll her eyes again, and we will analyze her body language a little bit from that video. But let's just look for a moment, because this tells you everything. If you don't know it yet, let me just remind you. Let's read this here, officially from Wikipedia. Friedrich Merz. He has served on the boards of numerous companies, including BlackRock Germany, a corporate lawyer and reputed multimillionaire. So that's all you need to know. So who is still wanting the war to continue? It gives you absolutely perfect answer. Now let me take you to this moment. Let me find the video. I'm gonna mute myself. Let's take a listen what the former employee of BlackRock Germany, and I think still is. Some things don't stop, right? They just continue. What he had to say yesterday.
Just thinking we're here for a different reason, but we just a couple of weeks ago made the largest trade deal in history. So that's a big thing, and congratulations. That's great. Thank you very much, Ursula. Mr. Chancellor from Germany, a very great leader.
Mr. President,
Please.
dear Donald, many thanks for having us today. I think this is extremely helpful that we are meeting and hearing that the two of you are having such a good meeting today here in Washington. The next steps ahead are the more complicated ones now. The path is open. You opened it last Friday, but now the way is open for complicated negotiations. And to be honest, we all would like to see a ceasefire, the latest from the next meeting on. I can't imagine that the next meeting would take place without a ceasefire. So let's work on that, and let's try to put pressure on Russia, because the credibility of these efforts we are undertaking today are.
We will continue with him, but you know why I stopped this? I stopped this because, of course, Meloni is first looking up to the ceiling, and you might wonder, maybe she's just admiring, probably painted with gold in Trump style, the ceiling at the White House, or something of that nature, the intricate, design of the ceiling. But definitely that's not the case, because if we continue with this, you will see she was rolling her eyes. And then after he finished, and you will see it in a moment, she went straight to the glass with water, because usually when you're nervous or stressed, there are signs of maybe she was thirsty, but I don't think in this case. Okay, so let's finish with him, and then I go to something that I've mentioned 2 videos ago, I think it was, when Trump met Putin in Alaska, and what Medvedev was announcing right after that meeting. So let's continue with what Merz has to say.
Depending on at least a ceasefire from the beginning of the serious negotiations from next step on. So I would like to emphasize this aspect and would like to see a ceasefire from the next meeting, which should be a trilateral meeting wherever it takes place.
Well, we're going to let the president go over and talk to the president, and we'll see how that works out. And if we can do that, I will say, and again, I say it, in the 6 wars that I've settled, I haven't had a ceasefire. We just got into negotiations, and one of the wars was, as you know, in the Congo was 31 years long. Another one that we settled last week with 2 great countries was 35 years going on, and we had no ceasefire. So if we can do the ceasefire, great. And if we don't do a ceasefire, because many other points were given to us, many points were given to us, great points. Please, Georgia, go ahead.
So exactly the point. What's the point? And I'm not an expert, I'm not a military expert, I'm just someone who is really looking at it and trying to have a common sense and some logic and some clear thinking about it. Why you need a ceasefire if you can go straight to the peace negotiations and establish peace? Well, I think it's pretty simple answer, don't you think? Because you want to continue the war. So that's why he wants ceasefire. He doesn't say, I want peace. But we will go to someone who says that he wants peace, which of course he does not. And that will be in a moment. Now, why I also think Meloni was doing this, and then drinking water, is because I think she remembers very well what Medvedev said. Well, actually, not just Medvedev. I think Steve Witkoff as well, but this is from right after the meeting between Trump and Putin. This is what Medvedev put out. Trump refrains from escalating pressure on Russia for at least some time. That's what Medvedev said. And those were the points here, some outcomes of the Alaska summit. So let's go to this one. Let's see, where was this one? Number one, a full-fledged mechanism for high-level meetings. It was not here. And okay, the third one is, following nearly 3 hours of talks, the White House host has refused to escalate pressure on Russia, at least for now. That's what Medvedev wrote on his Telegram. And she knows it. And I don't know if Merz doesn't know it. Maybe he was vacationing somewhere in, I don't know, Mallorca or other places. But that's exactly what was said, that US will not put pressure. Now, here he is talking about we need to put more pressure. That's like, what are you talking about, really, right? I don't know, guys, if you were also paying attention to how J.D. Vance was looking at Zelensky and how he was watching this entire meeting there with those leaders. But now I want to take you to Macron. So let's go to Macron. Let's first go to the moment before they actually gathered around this table. They were taking the picture together. Macron, I feel like he aged quite much in the last few months, don't you think? Like his hair is getting more and more gray. He's very tan, so that's maybe from some French Riviera tanning. Let's look at this. So here they are, and watch how those two, Trump and Macron, like Trump is like playing with him. Look at this. Look, standing, and now they're gonna start. Yeah, push. Yeah, and the lover boy is watching. Now, don't you think this is very rude to be the only one from all those people to have your hand in the pocket when the picture is taken? I don't know, when I was growing up, I was taught as a child that this is not polite, this is actually rude to behave like this. But maybe, that's a new style of behaving. There are many new styles. So we had the picture taken, we good with that. Now let's go to the table. Let me find the right moment in which Macron is answering, giving his few cents as far as what he thinks. Okay, Emmanuel, let me find it. Okay, let Meloni finish a little bit and then we listen to Macron.
Which was Italian at the beginning. So we are always ready to bring our proposals for peace, for dialogue. It's something we have to build together to guarantee peace and to defend the security of our nation. So thank you, Mr. President, for hosting us.
Thank you very much. Emmanuel?
Thank you, Mr. President, for organizing this meeting and for your commitment. And everything was said, but I just have to say here, everybody around this table is in favor of peace. And we work very hard, and we've worked very hard during the past few years to have a peace which is a robust and long-standing peace. This is why the idea of a trilateral meeting is very important, because this is the only way to fix it. And by the way, I think as a follow-up, we would need probably a quadrilateral meeting, because when we speak about security guarantees, we speak about the whole security of the European continent. And this is why we are all united here with Ukraine on this matter. In order to organize such a trilateral meeting, your idea to ask for a truce or ceasefire, at least to stop the killings, as we discussed, is a necessity. And we all support this idea. And in order to have such a long-standing peace for Ukraine and for the whole continent, we do need these security guarantees. And the first one is clearly a credible Ukrainian army for the years and decades to come. And the second one is our own commitment, all of us. And we worked very hard during the past few months amongst the coalition of the willings with the support of NATO to build the different pillars of security guarantees and our commitments. And you can be sure that Europeans are very lucid about the fact that they have their fair share in these security guarantees for Ukraine, but their own security is clearly at stake in this situation. So you can count on us as we can count on you in order to deliver this robust peace for both Ukraine and Europe.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Mr. Prime Minister.
Just a side note here, Starmer is always taking notes as if he has to have more substance to say something, right? So guys, coalition of the willing, that is coalition of not willing, really, because only the reptiles are willing, but the people are not willing. The people of the countries are absolutely not willing. They are, I don't know how to say in English, unwilling, not willing at all. But I want to show you a video from exactly the same moment that I think is just fantastic. It's very funny. And I think maybe we can take a listen to it because, in my opinion, they already lost big time. There is no point of even going into details what they have left, weather manipulation, what they have left, alien cards, what they have left to present to us. As long as you will not watch the mainstream media and you will not give into fear, you will be fine. You need God, you need peace in mind, you need strong spirit, and you need good food, some exercise, and do things that bring your energy up. Because otherwise, if you just pay attention and you really believe what they are saying, you're in a big doo-doo. So let's have some laughter, the same person, the same moment, different interpretation.
Thank you, Mr. President, for organizing this meeting. And I would like to begin by clarifying a situation that happened not so long ago, where my wife, Brigitte, slapped me like a French little bitch inside the plane. As a couple, we have our problems. See, we started dating when she was 39 years old. I was only 13 at the time. I didn't have a girlfriend or a boyfriend. And when I met Jean-Michel, he was a sweet man. I mean, woman. I mean, Brigitte. When I met Brigitte, wait, fuck. Can we edit that last part? I just wanted to say she's strong-willed and that's why she slapped me like little bitch. Thank you.
So there you have it. And this is during the time when the Macron's family is suing Candace Owens because she said that Brigitte Macron not only look like a man, but actually is a man. So that's one side of that. There's many stories like that. Let's go to Zelensky. Let's go to Zelensky and his moment with President Trump, his 2.0 moment at the Oval Office, and his humongous size letter that he is giving to Trump. Zelensky, by the way, I don't know, guys, if you see it, but I think he took, I don't know much about what kind of product he takes. I think he takes cocaine because often I see Slava cocaine, so probably that. But I think he took a lot. How he's still able to maintain some balance, I don't know. Maybe his body has adjusted to it, but it was really hard to watch his face and his eyes all over the place and the mimics of his face. Oh my goodness. So let's look at this situation and then we analyze a little bit.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to have the president of Ukraine with us. We've had a lot of good discussions, a lot of good talks, and I think progress is being made, very, very substantial progress in many ways. We had a good meeting, as you know, just a short while ago with the president of Russia. And I think there's a possibility that something could come out of it. And today's meeting is very important. We have, I guess, the seven very powerful leaders from Europe. And we're going to be meeting with them right after this meeting. And thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. If I can, first of all, thank you
Please.
for invitation and thank you very much for your efforts, personal efforts to stop killings and stop this war. Thank you. And using this opportunity, many thanks to your wife, First Lady of the United States. She sent a letter to Putin about our children, abducted children, and my wife, she, First Lady of Ukraine, she gave the letter. It's not to you, to your wife.
Oh, I want it.
Yeah. So we are saying this sensitive topic. Yeah. Yes, please. And thanks to our partners and that you supported this format that after our meeting we can have.
So I wrote you that letter that I came across from Melania to Putin, and there was not a single word about abducted children. Not a single word about it. So why he's saying that, why even media was saying the same thing, keep on repeating the same story, go back to the video which I have titled What Melania Really Said to Putin, wrote to Putin. In that letter that was presented, there was not a single word about abducted children. It was about that Putin, single-handed, with one stroke of a pen, can change the future of children. Now, once again, I'm not going to repeat this, guys, but I recorded, I think, 2 or 3 videos about Olena Zelenska's foundation. This is the foundation that takes care of the orphan children that is actually connected with Clinton's foundation. Look into it. You find everything you need to know as far as the topic goes. And I'm sure everyone knows exactly. Now, I want to ask you a question because that was going through my mind today as I was preparing for this video for you. Do you think that one of the conditions that will be on the table between, let's say, one of the conditions, one of the demands, as if he can demand anything from Zelensky, will be his personal safety? Because I don't think this is something that they can agree on. I think when there's time that there is peace, sooner or later, he will be facing the Judgment Day. And I think this will be not just from Russia, but there will be people in Ukraine who will be coming out, who are now afraid, those who still are in Ukraine, they will be coming out and reporting on things. I absolutely feel like that's the case. Now they are afraid because they can be killed. I think it's going to change. A lot is going to change. And maybe it will take a few years, maybe 2 years, 3 years, I don't know. But what about his safety, right? Do you think this is on the table as well? They're not gonna agree on this. I absolutely not. From Russian side, I'm not seeing this at all. So now, one more thing I want to bring to you as far as the serious stuff. Well, actually, the last video is also serious. It will be from Christine Lagarde, and she is talking about Putin. So we're gonna hear from her. But there is, when the meeting was taking place with those leaders around the table, that media was no longer part of it. Allegedly, Trump left around 40 minutes or no, in the middle of the meeting, and he had a 40-minute phone conversation with Putin. So the meeting was still going on, but Trump decided to, I think, call Putin. I think that's how it went. So here is a short video. I think it's from Yuri Yushakov, if I'm not mistaken, but I forgot exactly the name of the person. I'm going to play this for you, and he's telling you what Trump and Putin were talking about during this 40 minutes. when those talks with European leaders were still going on.
Dear colleagues, half an hour ago, at the initiative of the President of the United States, a telephone conversation took place between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Our president warmly thanked his American colleague for the hospitality and good organization of the summit meeting in Alaska, and for the progress achieved during the meeting in the direction of a peaceful settlement of the Ukrainian crisis. The President of the United States, in turn, informed about the negotiations that had just concluded in the White House with Vladimir Zelensky and the leaders of a number of European countries. In the course of the further telephone conversation, Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump spoke in support of continuing direct negotiations between the delegations of Russia and Ukraine. In this regard in particular, the idea was discussed that it would be appropriate to examine the possibility of raising the level of representatives of the Ukrainian and Russian sides. That is, those representatives who participate in the aforementioned direct negotiations. It is characteristic that Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump agreed to continue to closely maintain contact with each other on the Ukrainian issue and on other pressing matters of the international and bilateral agenda. The President of Russia once again emphasized the importance of the efforts personally undertaken by Donald Trump in the search for solutions leading to a long-term settlement in Ukraine. The conversation was of a frank and highly constructive nature. That's all I wanted to tell you. And of course, I would like to wish you peace.
Yes, that was from Yuri Ushakov, who actually was also part of the delegation that was in Alaska during that meeting with Trump, Putin and Trump. So, quick comment from me, why Poland was not invited. I was thinking about it, guys. Well, you know, the first thought you might have is like, because Poland is not as significant at all. Actually, it is very significant because the border, you know, the border with Ukraine, the border with Belarus, and a little bit border with Russia as well. And this entire buffer zone region that Poland is just right there, right? Also, the level of support that came from Poland to Ukraine, not even mentioning the number of refugees and millions of people who were welcome in Poland since this thing started. So you might wonder why Poland was not invited. And I was thinking, the first thought I had, the first feeling, almost intuitive feeling I had, I felt like it's actually a good thing. I don't know how to explain this to you, but I felt like that's good. We can look at it one way. For example, our Prime Minister, /old Donald Tusk, who Trump has, in my opinion, doesn't matter what Trump says, I believe he has zero respect towards Tusk, because Tusk so many times was bad-mouthing Trump that is just, you know, is getting boring at this point. We have a new president, so we have the prime minister who totally represents the reptilian side, totally BFF with Ursula the Witch, Tusk is, and European Union. But we also have the new president, just recently sworn in August, this month, August 8th, I think it was. And this is very, very pro-America, pro-Trump president. He's going to Washington in September, so next month. And I think there is a reason for Poland not being there. I'm not quite sure yet. Well, you might analyze it and say because Poland is not as important. I don't think it's that. I think there are some maneuvers as far as the governments go and we're gonna watch it. I think that meeting that will take place between Trump and Nawrocki in September, and that's Polish president flying to the United States, is going to be the one to watch and pay attention to, because whatever they will agree on in this trilateral meeting now between Zelensky, Putin, and probably Trump. By the way, Macron has suggested Switzerland to be the location from all the places where, you know, all the nefarious things and the money laundering perfectly goes through beautiful valleys of Switzerland. That's what Macron suggested. And the hub of the business ventures of the reptiles. Yeah, I'm laughing, but you know, Switzerland has a lot of darkness there. Such a beautiful country, but very nefarious activities are going on there. Not just as far as the banking system goes. So we see where that meeting takes place, but after that meeting, we will have about a week, maybe a little bit more, 2 weeks for Polish and American president to meet. And we see how that goes. In a way, I cannot explain it, but I feel it's strangely, I feel it's a good thing. I don't know why yet, but we see. One more video I have for you guys, and this is with Christine Lagarde. So this is the Central Bank of Europe, I think, if I'm correct. An old video, and she's talking about Putin. How is Putin? Because, you know, she was dealing with Putin too, believe it or not. And let's take a listen to what she had to say. Interesting video I came across.
Days it was a different person, number one. Number two, what I'm sure is still the case is that he's unbelievably thorough, detailed, knowledgeable, and when he works on a file with you, he doesn't have any paper, he doesn't have any material, he doesn't have any briefing. He knows it inside out. So to deal with him, certainly in my days, I had to know my file inside out and by heart. And I think that has to do with the training that he's had as an intelligence secret service kind of person, where you really need to have everything in your head and no paper, so in case you get caught. So I would say to deal with him, you really need to know everything, because he knows everything about you.
That's what she said about Putin, but she said first thing, this was a different person then. Okay, I know you might interpret this in a way that that was a different person as far as that was the Putin before the Ukraine war for her, but I read it in a different way, and many of you know what I mean. That's all I have for you today, everyone. Thank you so much for watching and for hitting thumbs up like Trump and Putin. Thank you for thumbs up. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, leaving comments down below. And for everyone who is donating on PayPal and joining me on Patreon or Locals, really, really thank you so much. I will read the names, the first names, of course, tomorrow. I don't have it ready at the front of me today, but I deeply appreciate your support. It means a lot to me. And I think that's it for today. Lots of love, and remember, we are the leading edge and we are saving humanity. And I see you in another video. Bye, everyone.